Gamification is a super powerful mechanism to keep your users engaged with your application. And today I'm talking about this, and I want to share with you 3 different examples of how I've been impacted by gamifications on the apps that I'm using. And I'm talking with you about this in this podcast episode because I just lost my streak on Weep. Weep is a community for builders to share their updates regularly in public with their followers. So every single day I was sharing at least one update of what I was doing, about my projects, about my life, about different things that are involved in my build in public journey. And I was really loving it. So much that I was having a streak of 297 days. But I just lost it. And that's why it made me reflect about gamification and the different mechanisms of keeping users engaged with your application. I was so pissed off with myself of having forgot to share the update that this made me reflect and try to understand a little bit more and see other examples of gamifications that make me completely addicted to certain applications. So taking into account this example of Weep, which has this streak mechanism, and you have a leaderboard of people, how many days they are, what is the streak, this made me completely addicted to try to publish an update every single day. I don't know exactly how or what I really gained from it, but it completely made me go to the application, share an update, see what others are sharing, and every single day I was interacting with this community. So seems to be a really nice mechanism to keep you engaged. But I think streaks by itself are good, not only because it makes you come to the application or to keep you engaged there, but it's good because it starts creating an habit on your users, an habit of sharing more in this particular case, of sharing every day, an habit of being more public in this example. So I think the streak mechanism together with the leaderboard are really good to create this habit mechanism. And for that, I'm really grateful. However, on the other side, you feel a lot of pressure to keep posting every single day, to keep sharing it. So sometimes, to be honest, I was not enjoying it that much because I needed to always remember, am I forgetting about sharing something? Did I share something today? Even if I have reminded to keep me into this habit of sharing in this community, and because I was already on the top of the leaderboard, I was proud of it, I wanted to keep that. But this pressure also is not super healthy sometimes. But I think streaks, nevertheless, are a very good mechanism for you if you want to keep or to start an habit or start a certain routine. Try to keep an eye on what you are doing and keep monitoring it, because if you are aware of it, you will eventually transform this into an habit. And this let me share another example of an habit that I created based on this type of mechanism. Like 2 years ago, I started fasting. So I usually only eat once per day at lunch. And I start with an application, decided, let's try it. I wanted to try out and see how I feel. And I start gradually. So I start monitoring with an application when was the time that I was eating and when did I start fasting, and start counting the time that I was fasting every single day. And this was really good for me to keep an eye or to keep on top of my fasting routine that was starting to be established. If I wouldn't have such an application, I would not be able to create this habit, because psychologically, if you don't have the data in front of you, it's hard for you to be attentive and establish this habit. And when the times continue to pass, I start building this habit. For more than a year, I was tracking every single day in this application. This is a little bit different than from Weep. On Weep, we have a public leaderboard, so my incentive to keep sharing there was very public and was available for everybody and was to be on top of the leaderboard. But in this application, it was just for me. I was not sharing with anyone else. It was very private, so I was just having this for me. But for me, it was really a habit to create this habit. And when it was over a year, I decided, I think I already have this habit established. I no longer need to keep tracking of it. And what happened? I kept the habit. I keep doing it, but I'm not conscious anymore of how many hours I am fasting because I'm no longer tracking it. I remember that I fast for longer than 24 hours, even 48 hours, because I had this app, and with myself, I was feeling proud of going this extra mile and keep fasting for longer if I was feeling to do that. While now that I don't have the app tracking it, I no longer do that much. But I still keep this habit because the habit was established. So I think this mechanism is really good for your users to create this habit and to keep engaged with your application, but it has some limitations. Like until a certain point, your users can keep motivated, can keep sharing. But once this habit is established, you need to go beyond the simple fact of having the amount of time that you are fasting and keeping tracking of those dates. Because if in this case I was not having this extra motivation to keep using the application to do it, what happens? I haven't opened the application for more than a year already. And that, in terms of app development and product engineering, this is not the best mechanisms in terms of keeping your users on a very long term engaged with your application. So creating some mechanism of having a community, having a group where you can share, this really makes it even more sustainable on the long term. A very good example of this mechanism of tricks is Duolingo, that keeps you engaged with the application and giving you more levels as soon as you keep learning a new language using their application. It's a very good example of how gamification can help your users create these habits and be engaged with your application. And finally, one last example that I want to share with you is about this new application that I've seen on Twitter recently, which is the Stompers app. So Stompers app is an app where it tracks your steps during the day, and you add friends on your network. And every single day, there's a race between you and all your friends to see who has made more steps throughout the day. And this is really, really nice. This application has implemented several different mechanisms of gamification, and I'm completely into it now. We even created a Telegram group for indie makers that are using this app, and we engage with each other on this Telegram group about the Stompers application. And more than that, I think it's starting to create me another habit. In this case, we don't have the trick mechanism, but what they do is that every day you have this race between you and your friend. And it only tracks the steps automatically from your phone. So you don't need to open the app, you don't need to do anything. It automatically gets from your iOS application, the health, it gets how many steps you did during the day. But with that, it synchronizes several times during the day. And with that, you can see where you are comparing to your friends on your network. And as soon as you start progressing, you can start to collect some items. You can collect some helmet, some bananas, some beds, some shortcuts, some rockets, and all these items have different impact on your performance. So, for example, the rocket can advance you 750 steps in just by clicking it because you got it. The helmet protects you from the bed. The banana, you can throw a banana to someone and they can go forward or backward. You can be lucky. So all these small details, all these small items that you collect, just because you need to walk, this made you try to get more, try to fight with your friend, try to progress, try to do more steps than everybody else, and try to compete with each other. But for a good thing, for walking. And it happens, it's an example, it happens to me. I was close to get a specific item. I don't remember exactly which one was it, but I was getting like maybe 50 steps or so. And I was just walking in my house to just get it. At the end of the day, it's for good because you can move. It made me move. It's very nice in terms of the habit that it's creating of me going out. Instead of going by car to somewhere in my small village, I just walk. Like today, I just had lunch with a friend. Instead of taking the car and go there, I just walked there 15 minutes. I was not doing that before, but now I'm doing because of the app. Because I know that it's good and I can get a little extra dopamine by walking and progressing comparing to others of my friends. So this starts to create another habit on me. So I think gamification is really good for to keep your users engaged with your application, but also on the mission of your application, on what you want to solve, and which habits do you want to create on your users. I know that it might not work for all type of applications, but even some of the B2B applications, you can get these gamification mechanisms into your own product. So think about it. Think where you can get some attention from your users, how you can keep them engaged, how you can make a small kind of competition within your product so that your users feel some kind of dopamine of using your product. It's not straightforward. It's not guaranteed that it can work, but it's a question of trying and seeing which mechanism can work and trying to experiment with that. But in terms of implementation, this is not easy to do. I say these need to be built in on the product from day one. So it's not something that you can easily introduce and trying out, but it should be something that you should think about it and really see which dynamics are created inside your products and how you can introduce these gamification mechanism, because this can revolutionize a lot your usage and keep your users engaged, especially if it's a B2C type of application. But I believe that on the B2B, you can also get these gamification mechanisms. And that's it about this episode. I think I'm not expert on gamification. This was just me reflecting on what happened with my experience on using other apps. But I believe that these need to be included more often inside our applications, because that's what could be a differentiator factor of people keep using your product or not. I wish you a great week, and we'll see you on the next episode. Have a good one, everyone.